What's good, beautiful people? Thug Life. Welcome to the B3ST Reviews channel. I am Mrs. Best. I am your fabulous host here. My co-host is running a little bit late. We do have jobs outside of this, y'all. We can't all be rich from YouTube. But we are here to recap the final episode, the finale recap of Queen's Court Season 2, Episode 10. This episode is titled The Royal Crowning. I only recap this show because James was suggesting that I did. I needed to recap it. At the time when I picked this show up, the shows that I generally recap were not on television, and there was nothing really interesting to me, at least on television, that was recap worthy. So I am glad that I picked up this show. It was fun. It was definitely nostalgic, but with a little bit of a twist, a little bit of a change. I will say at the end of this live, we're going to discuss like our feelings on how they handled the overall like season 2 of Queen's Court. I feel like season 1 was a little bit better with the exception of Nivea. No shade to Nivea, but I don't feel like she's the type to date on TV, but it is what it is. Let's get into the episode, you guys. Hopefully James is able to join us. If not, you can catch me on his channel later on while we recap the season premiere of Married to Medicine. So subscribe to his channel if you haven't already. The link is always in the description of this video. So we leave off with Lisa Ray interrupting Zeus and Delicious's steamy moment in the hot tub. When I say steamy, it was absolutely steamy. Leg was up in the air. He was well into the hot tub. I don't know. I feel this way about Delicious. Like, she used to look amazing. Now she looks a little plastically botched, in my opinion. This is why you don't touch yourself, especially if you're a Black woman. We tend to age greatly. So I don't know why she did that to herself, but it is what it is. But she's in the hot tub with Zeus. I guess Tracy don't like it. He feels away, but he also says there's nothing he can do. Personally, I feel like Tracy checked out when she could not remember where he was from. That's basic information. James felt a little bit differently than that, but personally, as someone in a relationship that's working, you should remember when getting to know someone that you're dating, whether they're a friend, whether you're going to have any type of a relationship with this person, you should remember like key things about them, you know? And I feel like where you're from is one of them, especially when you had it narrowed down to only so many men. That's just my personal opinion. But Delicious is showing that she's more so concerned on who can make her kitty cat meow and purr versus who like attributes of people, getting to know them. That's my opinion. So the next morning comes and Lisa Ray is the first person up, and she comes out, she greets the men that are left, and someone asked her how she was doing. I believe it was Nosh, and she responds that she had a bad night due to the fact that she's grieving. Her mother passed away 6 months prior to when she filmed this episode. She was close to her mother. I think that she did this show too soon. That's my personal opinion. I feel like she should have waited. But you know, what can you do? So she breaks down basically, and I just don't think that she was in the right state of mind to go on a show. I don't think she should be working. This is why things like bereavement and family leaves of absences exist. Like if someone you love passes away, you're going to feel pain. You're just going to feel pain. So that's personally how I feel about it. Welcome in, James.
Sorry, I'm late, y'all. Just getting home. Sorry. Thank you for
It's
having me.
3 minutes in. You're fine. We ain't really
Oh,
talking
okay.
about nothing.
I'm gonna be on camera because I'm gonna eat, but yeah, I'll be back.
But yeah, it doesn't. I don't know. I don't think Lisa Ray should have done this show. If you're breaking down to men that aren't even the contenders of the men that you want to pick, like you shouldn't do it. You had a bad night. You can't sleep. Those are like the early set stages of grief. God bless her. Really. Now, Nosh to me gave good advice because she was speaking about how everybody tells her when she says, yeah, I just lost my mom. It's hard. And people are like, I lost my mom 10, 12 years ago and it still hurts. If you care about someone, it's going to hurt years later as if it's fresh sometimes. And Nosh gave the best and most honest advice to Lisa Ray, which was essentially, you're never going to get over your mother dying. You're never going to get over it. And no one will get over their parent passing on. That's something when you do grief counseling, they make that clear. You're not going to get over it. It's learning how to live with that empty hole, unfortunately, in your heart. So I appreciated Nosh for giving good advice. He was more genuine, in my opinion, with Lisa Ray than he was with K. Michelle. That's just my opinion. I'm going to give James time to eat because there's not much to say on Lisa Ray unless he wants to comment. If you want to comment, James, feel free to jump in at any moment. So moving forward, you guys, the next thing we see is Dr. Tiff. She meets with Delicious and Tracy. We saw her in the previous episode meet with the ladies and some of the guys. And Delicious pissed me off in this meeting because she meets with the doctor and she says that she's hoping to get Zeus to open up. And why would a man want to open up to you as if he's going to be the man that you choose when you can't remember where he's from? You get mad at him for shit that don't make sense that he's already explained. You couldn't remember his birthday. And then you thought and plotting right in front of him. I understand that it's a competition dating reality show, but I think she thought that she was still on Flavor of Love towards the end of this. Very, very strange situation. And of all the ladies on this show, I expect Delicious to be the most empathetic as it relates to how the men feel about having to compete to win someone's heart. Because she did that on Flavor of Love. So it is what it is. She then mentions to Dr. Tiffany in the session. She says to Dr. Tiffany, Tracy had a whole birthday and I knew nothing about it. Delicious, you also claim you didn't know where he's from, even though he said something. Now, I do get what she's saying because Tracy should have spoke up. If somebody tries to tell me, oh, you're just now telling me you from Oakland, I'm going to tell them the devil's a lie. You better tell the truth and shame the devil because that is where I'm from. I feel like that's a basic thing and that's important. I don't know, town business. We are a little bit passionate where we being from Oakland, but at the same time, I feel like anybody would be that way. That's just my opinion. But Delicious has the audacity to say that Tracy should have mentioned his birthday so that she could remember. I'm like, so him mentioning his birthday would have put your leg from the sky back into the hot tub and took the other leg from being wrapped around Zeus. She thoroughly ignored that man. I understand time with them, but you ignored him. What you expect? So, in my opinion, Delicious is toxic and she makes everything about her. And if anybody watched Couples Therapy on MTV, her and Raymond were on that show. I believe that was her dude's name. He's one of the Central Park Five. I just feel like it's a common thing with Delicious to care about herself and not really be concerned about other people. But she really did give off like narcissist, sociopath. I was really upset and I feel bad I wasn't able to say happy birthday to him. If you
But she
know
did the same thing with Zach too.
You said what? It cut out.
Oh, sorry. I said she did the same thing with Zach too. This exact same behavior.
Yes, she did. She did.
She has a pattern with it.
Yeah. It's annoying at this point. At this point, she just looks like somebody who's relying on her looks to do the work. And I don't know that her personality has depth anymore, if that makes sense. Enough depth to date. I think she's just happy to have maintained fame and not ended up like Bucky. But that's just my opinion. But yeah, I don't know. It looks like at the end of it, the doctor kind of was like, you need to look within yourself a little bit based on how things were being described. But I didn't like how Delicious operated in that session as a whole. And it seems like James kind of agrees with me. So I'm going to leave it there. Did you want to add anything, James Jackson?
Nope, I did agree.
So we see K. Michelle and Nosh meet with Dr. Tiff, and the doctor basically explains to K. Michelle that it is good to be busy, but she has to think about her partners. K. Michelle says, I got to find time with my busy schedule for my partner, so I need to know that they're reliable. Honey, you want somebody as successful as you or with as much income as you. You got to understand that you're not the only one that's going to have to find time. See, I think that Delicious and K. Michelle are an example of how new generation women who have success can take that success and kind of go off in a place where it impacts their ability to find love. it's not all about you and your career, baby boo. If you want to find love, you got to be prepared to talk to other people, think of other people, and understand that there will be times that you got to make time for them, and there will be times that he got to make time for you. Now, if Nash didn't have a place to run off to and didn't have a job, you wouldn't want nothing to do with him. So while I don't care for Nash and I don't think he's genuine at all, I just don't feel like she should complain about that. Um, she also has to think of her partner's needs, which the doctor brings up to her. And the doctor asks Naj, well, what are your needs? Tell her. And he says his needs are mainly domestic. And then he tries to clean it up like, oh, I can cook for myself, though. No, you are Nigerian. Okay. And in African culture, not just Nigerian culture, the women are usually at home. I am African, y'all, so that I'm not just passing ignorant judgments and bias. So don't try to come for me because I showed didn't send for y'all. But Nosh has made it clear. His friend who came has made it clear based on what he described about his own mother. He expects for his woman to be around. I don't think he expects her to be barefoot cooking every single day because he does seem somewhat new school with it. But I do think he expects his woman to be readily available, on call, and available at the blink of an eye, the snap of a whatever. That's just how I feel about Nosh. I think the domestic thing is going to be a big issue if these two were to get together. How did you feel about it, James?
Sorry, y'all. I agree. I feel like, to me, he's compromising more than she is. And that's a big issue. And I think that that's where a lot of these newer couples in this generation fall into these traps where one is making more sacrifices than the other instead of them meeting somewhere in the middle as far as like scheduling, as far as careers, as far as future. I feel like he would be compromising more than she would if they were to be together.
Yeah, I get the feeling that Nosh looks the part, but I don't think that he worked as much as some of the other men in terms of careers. Because if he was, he'd have the ability to get out of work to participate in the show that he signed up for, or be able to afford to take a leave of absence till he could come back. Hell, something. But in that, there's nothing wrong with that. But I was confused on why K Michelle was on this show, and we will get to that at the end. We're gonna keep it moving, you guys. Lisa and David, they meet, and Lisa asks David, like, if he had to plan the perfect day for them, what would he do? And he says that something about birds of paradise and Casablanca. This nigga is fake. I'm sorry, YouTube. I'm okay if I don't monetize in this video. I'm good. I got other side hustles, but this nigga's fake. I've not liked David from the beginning. Something about him has made my teeth itch and has rubbed me wrong. I feel like he digging in the collection plate at church when nobody is looking, and I do not like that. I don't. He's too smooth, too suave, and it almost seems like what K Michelle used to accuse Andre of having everything prepared and the perfect answer. I am surprised that Lisa has not caught that faster with David, because I feel like it's so disingenuous. I also don't like how I feel like Lisa Ray has become much more emotional during this process about the passing of her mother. She's already hurting because it's recent, but it seems like David figured out that that's a way to get close to her, get her to feel like there's a connection. I feel like he kind of took advantage of that a little bit. And I don't know him, and it may not be that. And I won't say that that is that for sure, because he's still a human being and he's experienced pain himself. But he just comes off as disingenuous, and that's off to me. How'd you feel about the birds of paradise in the Casablanca?
You cut out. Repeat that again.
How did you feel about the scene with Lisa and David and his perfect day of birds of paradise in Casablanca?
You know what? I feel like she's not ready to date. When I was looking at that scene, she's not ready to date. And it was very obvious. And I think she's just going with her emotions versus deductive reasoning and logic right now. You're doing a TV show. This is not private. So I don't know. I just feel like I need her to kind of slow down a little bit and just take some time for her.
Happy Thanksgiving, Bryson. Happiest of holidays. I have to cook though. I'm not happy about it, but that's okay. That's okay. Make the husband happy. Welcome in. I agree. I've been saying from episode 1, she's brought up her mom every episode. Lisa Ray's in pain right now. I know it's harder when you have a non-traditional form of work like her, but she definitely needs to, at the very least, get a life coach, a grief counselor. She needs to be doing something to be proactive. I think she's leaning into the family she has left, which is good, but she also needs to be able to be alone to herself and sit in it, and that's okay. Now, David mentions his mother, and this is where Lisa just breaks down. And he mentions his mom in the therapy session with Dr. Tiff, with Lisa. And as soon as Lisa breaks, David goes, "Oh shit," and runs to find like a napkin or something. The way that he said, "Oh shit," when Lisa Ray broke down, it made me think that David has known that he was kind of walking on thin ice, if that makes sense, bringing up his mother, knowing what she's gone through. You've gone through this pain. She said you've talked about these things, yet you continue to bring them up. And even with him bringing his mama up, the relevance, I did not see it to be there or necessary. I think sometimes it's okay to, you don't have to always bring up what you've been through as a way to relate to other people. That's what we all do. But I think when it comes to situations like death, like the last thing I would want to hear, I had 2 best friends die in the past year, closest best friends, right? And I don't really like, and that's just me, when people are like, yeah, because when my mom died, that was even worse, or I went through this and it was even worse. It's not always necessary to bring up what you went through, because sometimes that can come off to people as like insensitive, selfish, self-centered. Um, and it doesn't always make them feel good. So I felt like he should have been more cognizant of that. James, do you have anything to add? No? Okie dokie. So we then move on to Lisa and David having a moment by the water after this session. There's some lady playing the harp, and Zeus and Booker are watching it. Booker got kind of mad about the interaction. He kind of snapped, and I'm starting to see more and more of what Lisa's talking about. Yeah, you can have a moment where you're lighthearted and fun, but like he gets too intense, too serious at times, and I could like see them going into like this toxic, vicious cycle of arguments that won't go away. Like, I like Booker, he's been chill, but this is what they mean when they say you meet somebody and you got a honeymoon stage, and then that honeymoon stage could turn into something else. But we did see Nosh and K Michelle getting pampered for a date, and he's so disingenuous. Nosh asked K Michelle to articulate her needs because he notices that she's not good at this. She's very good at articulating her needs, in my opinion. I feel like they tried to paint K Michelle out to be on this show like somebody who doesn't know how to communicate. This woman was on a show where all they did was holler and articulate her needs. She wrote a whole song on a piano for about Kirk to Rashida and them, articulating her needs. So I find it hard to believe that with Kay. I really think the reason Kay is single is because of her schedule and her not willing to put herself in the other person's foot. I really think that's what it is. She seems career driven right now and not focused on anything else. She asked Nosh about cultural differences after explaining to him that her needs is a mature love. You have to be mature to have a mature love. Or be able to think about your partner over yourself sometimes. I'm just saying. But he basically says that K Michelle being a country girl is the closest he will get to a Nigerian woman. Red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag. Never compare your partner or someone that you want to be with to someone else. When you get to comparing, that's how you know you're probably not with the right person and not the happiest. Your expectations of what your partner does and how you are treated should be based on your expectations, not from what you see other people do, but what makes you happy. You know, that's how I feel. I don't know if James feels that way. Jump in if you are here. If not, I'm going to move it forward. But I just don't think Kay and Nosh are meant to be together.
No, they're not. And I'm gonna keep it real with you. I feel like she knows this deep down, but as I said, there is a little bit of um kind of like a awareness that we're on a reality TV show. So of course there has to be some drama. So in
Mm,
all actuality, we're looking at this like I'm thinking this is just for TV and that she's not serious about this man.
yeah,
That's how
yeah.
I'm
I've
looking
been
at it.
thinking that the whole time with Kay because it doesn't make sense why she's here, even just publicly doing a show not too long ago with the man that she alleged to be with for many years, and now you're here. So, yeah, I agree with that. Now, Tracy and Delicious, they do a sound bath together. Tracy reads a poem in an effort to open up more to Delicious, and she says that he always wants to please her, and she doesn't feel that he thinks that he is enough. That's the first thing that Delicious said that I agreed with this whole season. I do think that Tracy wants to please her. Nothing is wrong with wanting to please your partner, but he also seems to kind of lack confidence. And I'm like, come on, brother, you fine. You got a good smile. You got a good career. You're a good father. Like, you have a lot of positive attributes, but based on what he explained from his previous relationships and how the woman just up and left him with no explanation when they were moved in together, I think he might have trauma and that could have made him insecure, and that is okay. And men handle that differently from women in general. So, I agreed with Delicious. Do you feel differently, James? Okie dokie. Moving on.
Sorry,
We come to the
no.
end of the vacation, and the men will not be seeing the woman basically until they're going to choose their king. This is the last time they'll see each other. We see the women meet with Holly and her husband, the football legend. Delicious keeps making jokes about polygamy. I don't really need to see Holly and her husband meet with these women to hear them discuss what they've already told us in the confessionals. I'm not trying to be rude to the producers, but I think that they need to find a different way to incorporate Holly and her husband, or just incorporate Holly. It's always awkward when her husband's standing there while the queens try to talk about their relationships. And I feel like Holly was like, we need this check, okay? Your retirement running out. That's what I feel like happened.
So let me ask you a question in regards to that. So let's say, in particularly, she were to do the show without her husband. Do you think that the premise of the show would be just as successful? Because I have the same feeling you have, and it's funny that you said it like that. Do you think that
Yeah,
she? Hmm?
I feel like it could be successful. He
Because I
doesn't
think
give
a lot of people
anything.
think the premises of them is a successful couple. So I think that that's why they're doing it like this. But I have that same opinion you have. So it's funny you said that.
I think that that's the problem when why a lot of people, I'm sorry, that's why a lot of y'all is alone. Uh, you don't always have to find success in a new relationship by being, counseled or getting advice and being around an actual couple. What people don't understand is every couple is different. What works for my relationship may not work for James's relationship. What works for you is just not always going to work for someone else. And sometimes what works for you will work for someone else. But everybody is different. Every relationship is different. I get why they're there, like you said, because they're a successful couple, but we don't really. He is retired. Okay. He is given, I got my fine wife. I need to be at home in our mansion, chilling with the grandkids here and there and bending Holly over. That's what he's given. He seems awkward in front of the camera. I just don't think he's built for it personally. Why don't he go commentate on some sports? That's what he needs to do because he
I
played
don't know.
football.
I think for me, because it always seems like it's one sided, that's why I don't like him on the show. Like, I feel like he's letting, and I get this is Queen's Court, y'all. I'm not saying, like, in instance that he shouldn't be speaking up, but he should speak up in his opinion for the men that he would feel would be good for them as well and
That's
input
such an
opinion.
important point. That's so important because I think that he could stay if they just kept him with the men. I don't want to see him interact with the queens. I
And the
don't.
only reason why I bring that up is because I feel like the men, they don't have an advocate for any of them. And some of them, and I feel like once again, and I've said this in previous lives on this show, I feel like a lot of them, if not all three of them, have let certain men go that I felt were a better fit for them than the ones they currently have right now at this point of the season. So I feel like if he were to advocate for the men more, I think that it would be a higher successful turnout because I feel like that's what he should be there for. But that's just my opinion.
Absolutely. And I get why production may not have wanted him to do that, but he's clearly uncomfortable on camera. Guide this man. Holly, tell your husband to go talk to the men. Because when he does interact with the men, he does well. He's like, oh, you gonna let it go down like that? Like he does well with the bros. He's used to being in locker rooms and all that foolery. He did well with them. But with the women, like, no. Just no. Like, I don't care if you gay, straight, trans, unless you are a woman, you're not really gonna understand the perspective and be able to relate to us in the appropriate way. So yeah, I agree with that. He needs to advocate for the men because all of these men this season, James, it's a good point you bring up, express frustration with the process of being on a show competing with a bunch of people. And this is not a foreign concept. We've seen this on Love Island, Flavor of Love. We've seen this on so many Are You the One, on so many dating shows. Like people are not comfortable competing because traditionally you talk to one person or you got a bunch of people that you talk to at different times, but it's just you, not you compete with 12 other people. So that's a very good point to bring up. Delicious, if you want polygamy, then go get polygamy. That's what I'll say, because she was talking about, oh, we can get polygamy. Bitch, go remove them implants in them titties that look like the little spinners that come out of Wonder Woman's chest. I need her to figure it out. Now, we get to the point where the vacation is coming to an end, and now we're at the ceremony. I didn't understand why this episode was so long for nothing to really happen till the end. But we're going to see who the women are choosing. And we're going to start with K. Michelle and her contenders, which were Nosh and Ben. Nosh came in his traditional African wear, which to me was a red flag. Like, he is very proud of his culture. Nothing is wrong with that. However, there are Africans like me who are just like kind of Americanized, as you would say, because I was born and raised here, and not so judgy. And then there are Africans like Nosh who are proud of their culture, but also looking for their culture while in America, because we're a multicultural country. So that is possible. But he has made, to compare her and say, a country girl is the closest thing to a Nigerian, that has bothered me a lot. Why are you trying to get something close to a Nigerian? If you want a Nigerian woman, Nosh, then go get a Nigerian woman. Just saying. Nothing's wrong with that. If that's what you want, go get one. But don't go and try and find like the Great Value brand of Nigeria. Don't do that. Don't laugh at me, James, because that's what he was doing. Yes, I shop at Walmart. I love it there. That's what he's trying to do. I couldn't think of no other Safeway Select signature Kroger brand.
You know you wrong.
That's how he made it seem. If I say I chose my husband, who's an American man, but he's a man from Oakland, so that's the closest I can get to a Kenyan man, then that's like, he's like a knockoff Kenyan. Signature Select, Kroger, whatever you want to call it. It's what it is.
No, I get what you say, but it was just the way you put it out there. It was like, I mean, he was once somebody who had I guess the ancestry does count as a form of I mean, it's just, I don't know. That took me for a loop there, but it's like, I agree with you at the same time. It's like, why want this specific thing, but not end up with this specific thing?
Especially as a man, a straight man that is generally the pursuer. Pursue the type of woman you want. I don't care what nobody say. I think Nosh wanted to be on TV, and we're going to comment our true opinions. That's why I'm kind of shipping it through the episode, because they didn't give nothing, and it was a dud. I think about 2-3 episodes ago, me and James were like, this is some bullshit this season. They sent home the wrong people. And I was kind of not excited for any of it. But Ben comes in a classic white suit. looking old as hell. And we basically learned that Ben was not chosen based on the differences of where they are in life. Ben is 53, K Michelle is 43. May not seem like a big age difference, but or I think she's 46. Hell, I can't remember. 43, 46, somewhere in that range. Either way, it's not a big age difference. It's not. Technically, they're in a range that I think is appropriate for dating. But Ben's kids are grown. Ben is satisfied with the children that he's had, that he has raised. K Michelle we never saw her son on any show. It looks like her parents was raising him while she got her career. And I don't care what no one says. And y'all gonna think I'm harsh, and I really don't give a fuck. You can have your kids and your career. And so there's no reason to like send your kid to their parent for your career, in my opinion. Like when you're home, they can be with you, not with your parents. But I don't know what goes on with that. But her son should be grown now. So she wants to start over and have another baby. And I think because she's finally successful and would be able to do it without having the help, which I respect. But Ben has raised his kids, and not everybody wants to go and start over. He's okay with adoption, but that doesn't mean that he's going to want to go and adopt like a newborn. And honestly, Kay, you talk about your schedule so crazy that you don't have time for a man. How the hell are you going to have time for a newborn?
I feel like this. Yeah, I feel like there would have been a benefit if she chose him, because how long would it be for one of his children to actually have a baby and give him a grandchild? Therefore, giving her the experience of a child and giving the baby back to its parents when she goes out on the road and stuff. So it's kind of like a best of both. For all she has to do is say, Ben, call your child, call your children. I want to see the grandbaby. And that's all she really had to do. So I feel like she would have had a bigger benefit to him. Plus, he is really into her as well. So I kind of feel like
they were able to have conversations, and a lot of people like look past that sometimes, and not conversations just oh, I like that, oh, I like that. Like they were actually having conversations that at their age were necessary when dating.
Yes. So I don't know. I felt like I don't think I knew she wasn't going to choose the right person. I already knew this.
You've been said that.
I've been saying this, and even with the better out of the two, she still picked the wrong person, in my opinion. So that wasn't a shock to me. It just really wasn't. I just felt like she would have benefited more from Ben than she would have Nosh. But
yeah, and she didn't choose Ben for that reason. But she also did not choose Nosh. Nosh has not picked as her king because she says she needs to get to know him. How does somebody make it this far without you feeling like you got to know them? A fall may have been boring. There may not have been that emotional connection yet. But you were getting to, there was an emotional connection because the way that lady cried. And
the way she cried, I was about to say, no, she had an emotional connection.
She knew that she was making the wrong choice.
Yes. And I feel like that's why I said, I feel like this was TV doing this. I really do. I feel like this was the show making her not choose him because she had a connection. And the thing about it is he was a better fit because she needs someone like that. Someone who is calm, quiet, gonna let her holler and then calm her down because he look like he'll grab her from behind and just start kissing her neck so she'll release that tension.
And that's what the crazy, boisterous women need. Just kiss us. It worked. Shut us the hell up. I agree with that. Like the show, I feel like Queen's Court, now it's on Bravo. Last season it wasn't. It was Peacock exclusive. I feel like Bravo's trying to get some different shows on because a lot of the Housewives is in shambles, the franchises, and they got to figure it out. But they definitely don't need to overproduce, which Bravo is known to do at times. If you're going to have a dating show, let these people try and find a connection and leave it there. Do not force nothing because it didn't make sense. Nosh doesn't get picked. She felt like she needed to get to know him. She crowned no king. And I do agree with her decision to not choose Nosh or Ben. I do not think either of them was right for her. And Nosh just gives shady to me. He seemed like he'll cheat on you till he find a woman he like and then marry who he cheated with. That's what he gives to me. I don't know why, but he definitely, that's just the energy I felt. But at the same time, separate from production, I don't feel like K Michelle came on this show to find a king. I feel like K Michelle came on this show to promote her country album and keep it moving because as much press
I feel like Bravo
the album.
I feel like Bravo needs to withhold 2 of those checks then.
You could tell, like even her bringing her management team on publicist
Her
or
yes man.
manager
Yeah,
or
I
makeup
knew.
artist.
The moment she did that, I was like, oh yeah, she ain't serious. I think I said that in your live. She brought her yes man, so that let me know right there. You ain't serious about this. You not.
Exactly. Exactly. It's also starting to make me look at her. What's wrong with you? I understand being private, but hell, we see Beyonce's mama, we see her cousins, we see her daddy's kids he done had out of wedlock. We done seen Solange take off in an elevator. And that's the biggest, the person of the biggest of the biggest. But you can't show your kid who's grown. You can't get a parent to come through. You so proud to be from Memphis, but you don't show us any of that shit. So I'm like, I'm gonna let you enjoy your career, K Michelle, but please don't come back on reality TV unless you're gonna keep it real because you haven't in a while. And I understand not wanting to go backwards to the ratchetness that came with Love and Hip Hop Atlanta because that almost ended her career. But at the same time, like, so whatever. She didn't choose nobody. Good for her. Moving on. Lisa Ray is next, and she meets with David first. He gets down on his knees and acts like he's gonna propose because he's a fool, he's goofy, and he's corny, and he's always got to put on a fucking show. He's lame. Big L, forehead. Now, Booker then comes out and he's popping champagne, trying to look fun. You could tell the producers were like, yeah, I want you to pop this champagne. And why don't you act like you're going to propose? And listen, I want everybody to know we will never get a Queen's Court like season one. It's so disingenuous now. I don't buy it. I just don't buy it. They better be careful or it's going to end up like the Marriage Boot Camp Celebrity Edition and all of that. Once it gets to a point where it feels so fake, it'll go away. Now, Lisa Ray emotionally, I'm sorry, Booker kind of wrote a poem for her and Lisa Ray cried. Do you want to add anything to his poem? Because I'm not getting into that corny ass, sappy ass poem. James is looking like, no.
I'm not going. No, I'm not going to comment. I was going to say something, but I'm just going to leave that alone.
Everybody want to be a fucking poet.
I mean,
they done got them a
we
Jan Love
had a poet on here. What was his name? The one that the doctor was tingling inside over. What was his name? We already had this on this show. Why are we doing this again?
I'm tired of the poems, and they all sucked. Listen, Booker, you should have been wrote a damn poem. I don't like that. I just don't like that. We heard so many poems on this show. Can they pick a new next season? No poems allowed.
No, next season we don't need them to showcase their talent. We just need to know the core values. Are you monogamous? Because you're going to be with 3 ladies that require that. Do you have stability of income at least 6 figures? Because you're going to be around women who make that. Do you have any issues with the children's parents if you have children's mothers if you have children? Okay, you do. You can't come on the show. You don't? Okay, perfect. You can come on the show. Do you like men sometimes? Because if you do, you cannot come on the show. If you don't, perfect. Because the ladies do not want to deal with that. That's all they need to ask just those basic questions.
They should show the audition process on camera.
Yes.
So that, because they did that with other dating shows before, they should show some type of the audition process on camera so that we can like see what they do. Because other than that, it's giving disingenuous, and I feel like it's going to be repetitive in seasons. Now, Lisa gives an emotional speech about healing herself before dating. I respected her for that, but I also call bullshit. I don't feel like she came on this show intending to date anybody. I feel like through the process, she had fun, and her Kit Kat might have purred a little bit, but I don't think that she expected to walk away with any of these men. I think her sense of discernment is a little bit better than K Michelle and Delicious combined. But I also, with it just being 6 months after your mom passed, how can you even think to be with somebody new? How can you even think about a new beginning when you're struggling to close this, previous chapter of your life? Like, that's a big deal. So, and it also makes it tricky when you're dating someone. You're going to have arguments with them. It's actually healthy and to be expected. If you get along constantly, red flag, I'm just saying. You're going to have arguments from time to time. If someone is in an emotional state or a state of grief, like, you're not going to handle arguments the way that you normally would. You may not be able to accept points. You may not be able to accept peace. I experienced that grieving. You know what I'm saying? My husband in the argument will be like, okay, and say what I want him to say and apologize is something that I still just would struggle to accept it because grief gets in the way sometimes of your judgment. I don't think she's ready. So I'm glad she
I
didn't
can,
say
and I agree, and I'm going to speak from my experience because I did lose a parent this year, so I can speak to this. I tried to date after my father passed. I tried to get out there and date to try to continue on with my life as much as I could, as far as, work and, balance and, trying to get back out there because prior to my dad passing away, I also got out of a really bad relationship. So I didn't want the sting of that and then also my loss to really cloud my judgment, but it did because I started dating individuals that I would never really consider dating before these incidents would have happened. So I do agree with that. I feel like she is kind of doing this out of maybe loneliness, or maybe she just doesn't want to be alone. But what she requires men to do and what men to have, I don't think either one of these men have that necessity. I just
Lisa
don't.
Ray, separate from her mother passing too, has a horrible dating history. She don't choose the right men, and when she does, she scares them off. So separate from her parent passing, she has a lot of work to do as an individual, just in general. But I am glad that she recognizes that and did not choose anybody. She did not choose Booker. He was disappointed, but not shocked. And she did not choose David. He gave another fake ass response. She's making a noble choice. Uh, David, you thought you was gonna get picked with all that smooth bullshit. You really did, especially after you pulled out that random childhood picture of you dressed up as a rocket.
Sure, she made a noble decision, sure, because it wasn't the other man, right? Okay,
Right, right.
yeah,
I
she
don't
shouldn't
like
have been
him
on the
at
show
all.
to begin with. That would have been the noble word. She shouldn't have been on the show to begin with because this experience, I felt like for her was just a check. I don't,
Yep.
like I said, I don't feel like there was any man casted on this show for her that would have been what she would have needed. I
Because
don't feel that
other
way.
than this show and the little Fox ladies that she does with Claudia Jordan, Vivica, all of them, what else does she have going on? What
You
shows have
saying
we
like
seen
Saints
her
and
on?
Sinners or one of them BET shows? She on one of the BET shows. I know she is.
That don't count because BET right now is the equivalent of Tyler Perry at his worst. Don't come at me,
I
y'all.
mean,
I
it's
don't
more
care.
than Lifetime.
Sisters is
Where
scandal. Okay. The Oval is scandal. Sisters is something that was copied. It seemed like his plagiarized version of Girlfriends, like Hot Mess Express. That ain't nothing to be proud of. I want to know what else she's doing that's booked outside of BET and any other networks that give off low budget to me. BET ain't the same. It's not. You can't even sit through the damn award show no more.
I agree, it's not the same. But at the end of the day, I'm just saying it is a check for her at the end of the day. So I can't
That's all
knock it.
she wants is the check.
Yeah,
They need to
I agree with
also
you.
put therapists throughout the show more because I felt like Dr. Tiff was valuable and wanted to make points, but you could tell as a clinician that the show did not give her enough time to prepare, to
No,
assess
because if
what was
they gave
really
her enough
going
time to
on.
do that, then she probably wouldn't have recommended anybody today anyway.
That's why I never trust therapists or people who end up on shows because essentially they sign contracts saying they have to do what, the
Hmm.
show wants. Now, I was thinking after we saw Lisa Ray and K Michelle pick nobody, I was like, well, this season's a dud. If Delicious don't choose nobody, then the show was a whole just scripted setup. Um, but Delicious looked a damn fool. She looked like she picked the biggest quinceanera dress off of them knockoff stores where they make the dresses. The dresses be beautiful, but not on a 47-year-old woman with a botched BBL and titties that look like missiles. It's not. It's not. Can y'all stop laughing at me? My husband is laughing at me in the background. James is covering his face.
I'm trying to hold it
She's
in.
botched. The
Not
makeup on her
cities that
face
look
was
like
three
missiles.
shades
I wait
too
a minute.
light. They do. Her makeup be looking 2 shades too light. She got the makeup that a white woman would need on her face. Now I
Oh,
understand she's
I gotta
married,
go on mute.
but
I'm sorry, you're gonna kill me. No.
I'm telling the truth. That dress irritated my soul. I said, "You too big and old for this." And then even walking through the dress, you could see the BBL competing with her real ass because Delicious had a lot of ass. I don't know why she got it done. It doesn't make any sense. But all right, I'll behave, y'all. I'll be good. Now, her in that damn crown and her quinceañera dress. Shout out to anybody celebrating the quinceañera. Big milestone. Now, she starts with Tracy and she states that Tracy, she did not give him, she says, the energy to feel safe enough to open up to her. I'm like, bitch, you wait till the end to figure this out, old selfish hoe. But okay, Delicious. And London Charles is not her name. I want everybody to know that. That's some other weird alias she trying to go by. And I refuse.
Yeah, she
You
had
are
like a sliver
Delicious
left.
or
This lady
Chandra.
name is Chandra, whatever her name is.
We remember when Flavor of Love showed us their real names.
I think it did show London on the
Ooh,
Flavor of Love.
I
It did
wonder.
not say Chandra. It didn't.
But why we see Chandra online?
Because you know who did that? It was either King magazine or it was one of those magazines that they did after Flavor of Love. They put her real name because they had to put everybody's real name. So they put her real name for legal reasons. And that's how we figure it was Chandra Davis. So Chandra
Somebody
Davis.
always trying to go by their wretched ass middle name. I want to be called London. Or somebody with a name of a city or a car. They always want to be referred to that, and this always seems to be the middle name. But I do agree that she was wrong. She did not make him feel safe. She forgot a lot of stuff. She ignored a lot about him. But Tracy, my brother, you dodged a bullet. You dodged a bullet.
I mean, yeah.
I understand opposites attract, but in this case, I feel like she would have dog walked that nigga. I'm sorry. She would have walked him like a dog, a small dog that can be dragged. And I didn't see it for them. She did choose Zeus. She says she's unsure if he can address her specific needs, and then she gets these corny cards, right? And they're like the cards for couples to make stuff interesting, like, oh, you win cuddles, or you win some head, or you win this and that, whatever. She's giving these cards to him, and the first thing she says is she's going to need constant cuddling every day. That ain't gonna work, because if that's what you expect every single day, you've lost your mind. Then in addition to
that one.
Huh?
I actually wasn't mad at that one.
You could cuddle every day, but she seemed like the type that act a fool and then want to cuddle.
Okay, that's true. I agree with that. I was gonna say that one was actually more reasonable. I was like, okay, yeah.
I cuddle with my husband every day in some way. I'm not mad at a cuddle. I love it, and he smells great. But I'm not acting a fool every single day. And Delicious gives me that she would find something.
Something to argue about, yeah.
Yeah,
And
every
then
day.
that makes me not want to, touch you. So yeah.
In her head, because she's very sexual, and nothing's wrong with that. Women can be that way, but like you could tell, Delicious made decisions based on how loud her cat meowed. I truly believe that. She does choose Tracy as her king. She says she has some more cards, but she can't show them on TV. I said, damn, he wins and he already gets it. That's fast, but I'm not judging. I can't judge with my own situation, but I mean, what the hell? I don't think they're going to work. I think they're the next Tamar and what's the white boy's name that be crying on the internet?
Yeah.
JR.
No, they're not going to last. And I feel like because K. Michelle and Lisa Ray disappointed the network, one of them had to choose somebody. We didn't do all this for nothing, I'm sure. So, of course, Delicious, I feel like she would have did this regardless if the show pressured her on her own. She was going to leave out with somebody. It didn't matter who it was. She was going to leave out with someone. And I feel like that just goes to show you just her inability as a person to think that you had to leave this experience with at least somebody. Didn't matter if you had the least chemistry or the most chemistry. At least had to be somebody. That's just crazy.
I agree with that. It gave that. Zeus, though, so earlier on, I did think that Zeus was a good fit when they did that little wilderness date, zip lining and stuff with Zach. The reason I felt like he would have been the best fit for her if she chose someone, he seems just as sexual as her to a certain extent. Like even before he made the effort and all of that, he's very comfortable in his manhood as it relates to being with someone sexual. So I do feel like that would make him good for her. But I still feel like he's an opportunist because of that gift he gave. I don't like when people play on grieving emotions as a way to get close to somebody. Like if I don't know you like that, that's weird to like, if I did not know you, James, and I gave you some glass sculpture at the last minute while filmed on a TV show of your father who passed away recently. That's weird if I don't know you. Now, being your friend, if I do something like that, it's like, oh, that's thoughtful. But if you don't know me, that's a little odd. That's a little odd, from outside looking in. So I still feel like Zeus might be an opportunist because he's an actor, he's in the industry, all of these things. But I do feel like she chose someone good, I guess, for her. I think they just want to have sex, and I want to see if the sex is good enough for the relationship to last. Because I don't really sense much else with them. But that was Queen's Court, y'all. I was highly disappointed in this season. That's about it. Do better. Give Holly's husband some direction. Keep him away from them queens. Cast better. Cast people who are actually looking to date. Like if they would have cast 2 more people like Lisa Ray, who had not grieved. Had she not grieved her mom, I think she would have been great for the show. Cast people who actually take dating seriously, but also have the ability to give you entertainment because it's a reality television show. Do that. But for 2 out of 3 people to not choose anybody, Peacock, aka Bravo, you failed. You messed up all of the church's money.
I mean, failed miserably.
Terrible.
Miserably. Yeah, it was epic fail. It was, we were never going to get anything out of this, and y'all just wasted everybody's 10 episodes.
Right. And we have full-time jobs, and I would have liked to at least gotten something out of this show, but it is what it is. And Bravo, y'all got some nerve. 2 out of 3 contenders and choose nobody, and the third one is just a 304 that would have chose whoever got her kitty cat to whistle. So I can't understand. I cannot understand any of it, but hopefully they learn from it because the show is newer. It's only season 2, and I'll leave it there. In place of this show, you guys, I have a bunch of independent shows that are going to be coming back. My TLC shows, for some reason, all come back at the same time. We have Love During Lockup that will be coming back as well. Shows with James that I will be doing that can replace Queen's Court. In the meantime, my mind just went blank. Love and Hip Hop Miami, as well as Housewives of Beverly Hills. There's a lot of new Bravo shows coming on. I may tackle one of those, but we will be here recapping, reacting to music, reviewing music, all of those good things. As of now, check the link in the description of this video, subscribe to James's channel, or click the link to go to his channel, and we will be live now on his channel to go over the season premiere of Married to Medicine. I appreciate everybody for watching. I appreciate you for being here, James, and we'll see y'all next time.
Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.